Time for sound design. In this video, I'm gonna sample some Japanese records and see if I can turn a sample into an instrument in Ableton Live. So I recently was on holiday in Japan, and of course I had to go to some record stores to see if I can find some secondhand Japanese records that I can use for sampling. I ended up going to multiple stores, so I will probably make multiple videos where I go through the different records that I got. Today I'm gonna start with my visit to Face Records. So this is a small record store in Shibuya, Tokyo, that specializes in funk, jazz, soul, also hip hop. And here I bought 4 records. 3 of the records I bought here are city pop from the 80s, which I will look into later. But today I want to start with this record from Hako Yamasaki. It is a folk pop record from 1976, so this was before city pop kind of took over. And I've been listening to this record for a little bit, and there are tons of options to sample. So let's find something to sample, record it into Ableton, and then see what I can make with it. So let's start with side 1, track 1. Let's go further, track 3. This is a really good loop. You can just use it as the first 4 bars. You can just loop that. Maybe not the most interesting, so let's keep looking. All right, now on side B, track 1. There's an open note. Let's record that into Ableton. So let's go to Ableton and see if we can use this open note in Sampler to create an instrument. So it's a very tiny bit, like I recorded it here. Let's look at it. It's very short, so maybe it doesn't work, but let's try it. Let's put it into Sampler, change the start and end points. There's a lot of noise on it already, which, you know, gives it character, I guess. Maybe we can loop it. Maybe not, maybe just keep it as one note. So it is a G, so let's tune it so that it actually matches the keyboard. So it's a very short sample and it has a lot of noise on it, so maybe we want to make it monophonic, and because it's so short, there's not really a good way to loop it. So maybe the best thing to do is actually to put an arpeggiator on this, so we can create these short sounds and repeat them, and in that way still make a usable instrument. So let's go to MIDI effects and select the arpeggiator. The release, let's put it to 500. And let's put the voices to 1. So this is a start of an instrument. Let's put in some notes in the MIDI clip. And let's see if we can do something with effects. I'm thinking again delay, just to add a little bit more volume to this sound. So let's record it in the key 1 octave lower. And these are 8 notes. So let's put in a chord, a G major. Let's go in the scale of G major. And then let's change the style of the arpeggiator to down up. Let's change the octave. And let's add some effect. Let's add the delay and filter out the lows. Let's change the octave again. Let's change the delay to time to 3, feedback to 40, dry wet to 30, so we have less delay and it's more offbeat. And because it's such a short sound, maybe we can play a bit with the sustain to make it even more shorter, but to change it over time. So I'm going to add an LFO to adjust the sustain level of the amp envelope in sampler. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's add an LFO, and we want to adjust this parameter, but not all the way. So first going to map it, and then maybe not from 0 to 100, but from 50 to 100, and over the course of 1 bar, or maybe let's say half a bar. Let's do it over the course of 3/4 of a bar, so it's not exactly synced to the chord change. So that's the first modulation, because the sound is very monotone and it's kind of hard attack. We want to create some variation. So the sustain level varying is the first one. The second one would be the filter. So just change the filter frequency a little bit over time as well. So for that, I'm going to add a second LFO. Just like this. Let's change it to filter, LFO filter, and this is LFO amp envelope. And then map this to the cutoff frequency. Change the resonance to 40%. And as you can see, the filter is changing too fast. So I'm going to change it to maybe 1.5 bars and not all the way to 0 again. So maybe from 50 to 100. Maybe even less, 65%. And let's change the chord progression. Let's develop it a bit more. So we have G, E, and then we go to A, F. Alright, so that is an instrument created from a sample that I found on this record from Japan. It's on the side B first track, the first note, so it's a really tiny sample, and because it's so small it was basically impossible to loop it in a good way. That's why I decided to use an arpeggiator and a whole bunch of modulation to create something that is interesting. But hopefully you can see that just by finding secondhand records wherever you are in the world, you can find tiny sounds. So you don't have to go for the loop. You can find sounds and create an instrument from that. Make this instrument play what you want. So for instance, this chord progression. And this could be the start of a track. Just add some drums to it and a bass and you are halfway there. Hopefully this was inspiring. I will create more videos where I go through other records that I bought in Japan. For instance, the City Pop records. I also bought some novelty records, so stay tuned for those videos. As always, thanks for watching. Keep making music and see you in the next one.